Colleen is, like I mentioned, she's a transformational coach for over 25 years, or consultant, excuse me, for over 25 years, where she's got experience in the business and the professional development. And Colleen holds 2 business degrees, so we have a very intelligent lady here with us in the business field as well, and founded successful ventures across various industries, including fashion, education, and hospitality as well. Then Colleen specializes in creating optimal environmental workplaces, homes, and schools. And she's really worked in all these areas, and this is what I'm excited about, because as I met some of you as you came in here this morning, you come from so many different backgrounds. We have people working in schools, working with whether it's children and adults, but we have people here that has found out that their kids have gone through a whole school educational side of things, and only after school found out, well, you know what, I was never there for my child to support her, because we only now found out that she's got ADHD, and all these struggles we had for so many years, we never put it down to that. So I do believe we're going to have phenomenal information that we're going to be receiving today. Colleen, I'm not going to say more about you. I do believe you are going to speak a little bit, give people some background as to who you are, what you do. But everybody, if you can please help me welcome Colleen Wilson to the stage.
Thank you so much, Ren. It's lovely to be here. I'm actually so stoked that little old Derb's got to send somebody to Joburg to deliver, because we are always having people from Joburg and Cape Town come to us. So I'm very proud to be here. I also just wanted to say that the juggle is real with other things. I wanted to just say something to you. So I know this is a neurodivergent talk, and I am perimenopausal, which means my brain is very forgetful, which is why I have notes here. And the reason why I'm also telling you that is because we are walking a road here with neurodivergent kids, and possibly ourselves, and certainly family members and colleagues and co-workers, and it's important that we're able to table these things and speak about them. So I'm saying to you, I'm perimenopausal and my brain is a bit fudgy, so I've got some notes here so I don't forget, in order to model for you how important it is to own where we're at on our journey, okay? Because shame dies in safe places, and the more we speak about things, the more we make the places safe. Okay. So, right, let's kick right in, and welcome to everybody who's online as well. It's so nice to be broadcast. I understand we've got people from all over the world listening in, and if you're listening to a recording later, also just a huge, huge welcome to you. Okay, so, oh goodness, there I am. Don't tell my kids that this is my favorite child. Okay, her name is Senna. She was bought for my son because we thought it'd be really good for him to have a dog. But she and I have got a little bit of a relationship happening on the side. I adore her. She's my soul dog. So also just a clarity purpose here in terms of our topic on neurodivergence. Neurodiversity is something that we all have. All of our brains are wired differently. We have different levels of activation. We have different levels of development, underdeveloped, overdeveloped. And so the world is full of neurodiversity, which is different from neurodivergence. Okay? Neurodivergence is really around people that are thinking, learning, behaving differently. So this is your atypical brain, typically understood as cognitive diversity, or what I like to say is differently wired. Okay? But I drop that a little bit deeper down into, there's also emotional and somatic diversity. And you'll know this, right? Okay? The sensory sensitivity, the body responses, the emotional dysregulation. So it really is diversity in how we show up in all facets of our life, where it can be limited to the learning environment. And for those of us with neurodiversity or neurodiverse kids at home, we know it sure as hell is not just in the learning environment. Okay. There is so much more to it. And the education on this is super, super important now. Oops. I'm not a massive fan on the titles and the diagnoses. I think that they're helpful. Has anybody else here in the room found them to be helpful, to have gone through that process and to actually understand it has a name, okay? So it can be helpful. It can also be empowering, yes, and it can also be disempowering. So there's a lot that comes with this journey. When I'm working with parents, and especially when kids are newly diagnosed, sure, there's a lot that comes with that. You'll remember, right? There's days, if not weeks, of just feeling completely and utterly thrown by now this label that you're facing. So part of the problem with diagnoses that I see is that we then think, okay, now we need a therapist or an ologist or a medication to solve this problem or to remedy it or to help us, make good on this. But it's a sense of maybe it takes away from us. So that's one problem with diagnoses, because there is so much that we can do within ourselves and in our own homes that is deeply, deeply healing and therapeutic. For example, what we put into our mouths, okay, what we consume on all levels. But one of the other things that I really don't like about the titles is that mental health is already stigmatized, and now we must have titles like oppositional defiance disorder, emotional dysregulation disorder, even hyperactivity, whatever, attention deficit disorder. So why does cholesterol get to be called cholesterol and not like fatty artery disorder? And I was thinking also about the spectrum. It has a lot of merit, of course, but you get asthma, which is just called asthma. It's not called asthma spectrum disorder. Okay, you get mild asthma and severe asthma. So I think that there's definitely a long way that we can go in terms of the labels, and while they're beneficial, I'm going to zoom out in this talk away from labels. And I'm going to focus in on the nervous system, because what we're talking about here is challenge and compromise at the nervous system level. And so, enter my dog again, and my story. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what gets me standing here in front of you all today, beyond the colourful career. So, my kids are 20 and 15 now, and when I had my 20-year-old, she, God bless her, was unplanned. We were still practicing, and she arrived on my husband and my first wedding anniversary. And so I was climbing the ladder and been just offered directorship, and it wasn't in my game plan. Anyway, you recalibrate as we do, and I had my first child, and I don't think I was great at this parenting gig in the beginning, but because I'm a lifelong learner and I'm a lover of the Enneagram, I also do Enneagram coaching, I'm a researcher, I'm an Enneagram 5, and I was like, what the hell is going on in this parenting story? I'm like good in the workspace, I'm good in the transformation space in business, but in my own kitchen it's a shit show. Okay, so what is going on? So I did a deep dive into the world of parenting, lo and behold, 20 odd years ago, where there wasn't as much information as there is now. There was still the burgeoning science behind parenting. And so I started developing material and running courses, conscious parenting courses, so lovely, so intentional, so lateral, and understanding EQ and parenting, and so this was all good. So then my second child is now planned. I'm an older mom, fall pregnant at 32, and I'm so ready. Okay, this is going to be good because I'm a conscious parenting coach. And anyway, that second child experience not bring me to my knees. So he is a magnificent human, 15 years old now. But at the beginning, I thought the fact that he was only happy when he was sleeping on my chest was very, very charming and cute. And didn't clock then how much co-regulation he was needing, even as a little one. I thought it was very sweet that he would only go to sleep when we put a doo-doo, a mutton cloth over his eyes to block out the stimuli. And slowly but surely starting to understand, very sensitive little being here, but still clueless, really largely clueless about what was actually going on. very colicky, but I was a present second-time mom, so we just took that, my husband and I took that in our stride, missing all of these cues about a highly sensitive nervous system. And so fast forward a number of years, I started down the mainstream route, had a magnificent preschool experience because of great teachers, fantastic grade R teacher. I was also running parent conscious educator courses at the time, so every time my child arrived in somebody's class, I was like, you're welcome to a free seat in my class, just to get them, because now my parenting work had moved, and it had recalibrated to more children with challenges and understanding the nervous system and stress in the brain, etc. And then by grade 3, the wheels fell off completely, and there was massive school refusal, and at that stage, we went into the homeschool environment, smaller classes and smaller environments, and we did that for a little bit. By grade 5, he was in full ND burnout. Okay, anybody familiar with neurodivergent burnout here? It's a thing. Go research it. You've been told. Okay, it's important to understand. And so he was in full burnout and pulled him out of the school environment completely and went into a long recovery at home. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how we did that as we go. But suffice to say, and so within my home, and I don't talk a lot about my kids because their story is their story, okay? And I'm very, very mindful of that. But what we have in our home is, across my 2 kids, what I must also share with you is that the canary in the coal mine was that the child with the greatest nervous system sensitivity showed up for the rest of us in our home that actually we were masking a lot. So my daughter, who's 5 years older than my son, was definitely masking a rather mild but definitely present ADHD, sensitive nervous system, anxiety. And so, because our lens became parenting with the lens of the nervous system, we started to be able to see this. My daughter, who was in mainstream, ended up saying, I'm out of here too, thank you very much. In halfway through grade 8, came out of the mainstream into the homeschool environment and was much, much happier in that environment. And I didn't see that coming in junior school and senior school at all. So he also showed me that my nervous system is extremely sensitive, and I've had a completely different relationship with how I look after myself in the context of understanding him. So there really was a beautiful blessing in our home and an education for all of us. And this parenting model that I use, which is nervous system led, but it is based on connection. Okay, it is based on creating home as container. It's based on creating home as a place of safety, of a place of refuge, which people with highly sensitive nervous systems, no matter what the neurodivergent complexity is, that is what they need in bucket loads. Okay, that's when I'm saying the therapists and the ologists and the medication all has its place. But home is the greatest therapeutic environment that we have. So that is the place where we want to help and heal, not hurt and harm. Okay, so with us zooming out from the diagnoses as such, we go into this understanding of the nervous system. And so it doesn't matter what somebody's called, whatever your child has got or whatever you have got. What we are talking about here are states of nervous system dysregulation. And there's hyperarousal, which is really that sort of red activation, crying, tantruming, dysregulation. There's lots of agitation in the nervous system. Or there's hyperarousal, which is more the depressive, subdued, shut down, withdrawn, rigid, inflexible states. And what we want to do when we are looking after in schools, as caregivers, as parents of neurodivergent kids, is we want to parent with this question in mind. What do we need to do in order to get this little dysregulated human back into their window of tolerance? Okay, that is the lens that we need to look for. So part of this exploration in my research-obsessed Enneagram 5 is that I hopped off to LA in 2015 and I went to go and do an immersion week under Dr. Daniel Siegel, who's a leading psychiatrist. He's written lots of beautiful books, which I highly recommend. And this, I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurred, but this is his little analogy about how we, now bear in mind, top American psychiatrist, And what he's saying is that when we are integrated, when we are regulated, that is when all of those other elements largely fall away. Okay? And you'll know that when your kids are on flow state for those little moments, sometimes very few and far between. But what Dr. Siegel's saying, Dr. Dan is what we call him, is that ideally we're flowing down the river of life, right? And that's the sweet spot. And then we bank up on chaos. And you know what that looks like. And then we go down into the river again and we bank up against rigidity. Like, no, I won't wear that, won't go that, won't see that person, can't. So these are the very zoomed out states that our kids are moving through. And you can see another little diagram here with rigidity, control, chaos, overwhelm. So it's important to be able to look and go, what is causing this level of dysregulation? And how do we hop back into the river and the flow of life? So nervous system, behaviors or actions that come out of the nervous system in a hyper-aroused state can look like this. Now, this is not neurodivergent specific, okay? This is anybody's nervous system in a hyper-aroused dysregulation. This is anybody's nervous system in a hyper-aroused dysregulation. So where the neurodiversity comes in is the challenges are deeper in hyper in terms of speech challenges, social challenges, communication challenges, learning challenges, sensitivity to pressure, defiance challenges, demand challenges, sensory challenges. So that's all and all of those move between hyper and hypo arousal in the nervous system. What we are looking for, as a reminder, is to get our kids back into the window of tolerance, and this is what I'm going to start to share with you a little bit more today, but understand it, because we parent behavior. Why did you hit your sister? Don't do this, do that. Our lens is focused on what we can see before us, which is the actions or the behaviors of the neurodivergent person, obviously. But we need to go behind that and go what's driving the behavior. Okay, because behavior is just symptomatic. We want to try and get our kids back into the zone of optimal development. This I love because Dr. Dan again he's the king of acronyms, so he breaks the integrated state, flow state, into an acronym called FACES. Now how beautiful when our kids are flexible, adaptable, coherent, energized, stable. Jeepers, now we can go to the dentist, now we can wash our hair, now we can get to school, now we can sit at the table, now we can try the new veggie. Now we can engage with our friends nicely. Because we're flexible, we're adaptable, we're stable. This is the sweet spot, people. This is where we want to be ourselves. Yes. And we want this for our kids. Because outside of this river of integration is chaos and rigidity. Statistics, I know we heard some statistics earlier. Statistics are always a little bit debatable. I do a lot of research to try and make sure that the statistics that I'm sharing are as accurate as possible, but I think, and maybe you'll back me up here, that whatever the statistics are on mental health and neurodivergent, they are conservative. Okay, because the person who's getting diagnosed with ADHD by the psychologist or the GP, where's that statistic? How are they pulling the data? So I think these figures are conservative. And even if you consider that they're conservative, how hectic are they? Yeah. So there's a huge, they call it a comorbidity, but you don't separate out neurodivergence from mental health very easily. So we need to look at this. This is important. Anxiety is the most prevalent mental health challenge in the entire world. Anxiety might be episodic or environment specific, so it's in the moment, or anxiety is chronic, or it's a background, it's underlying, and that's what it is for most neurodivergent people. And there's even anxiety about having anxiety. Okay, so it's there all the time in a low to moderate ebb, and then sometimes it just peaks like, way out of control. Depression is the leading disability on the globe above cancer and heart disease. The statistics are alarming. We've heard that already from the previous speaker. And the growth rates of neurodivergent diagnosis and mental health diagnosis is frightening. Okay, I heard, for those of you that might follow American politics, Robert Kennedy Jr. was talking about 1 in 22 people in California being diagnosed with autism.
Wow.
Okay, that's higher than the statistics, which I think are around 1 in 36. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a lot, and it's growing. So these kind of discussions are important. This kind of information of holistic approaches is important. Putting it on the table and owning it is important. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit, and I love how we segued in from one another, because my approach is multifaceted. We are multidimensional beings. We are not just a brain. We are not just a body. We are multidimensional, and so our approach needs to be multidimensional. Where I think quite often we can get into a top-down approach, which is your therapies, your cognitive therapies, your speech therapies, those sorts of things are really going through the brain. Then we have a bottom-up approach, which is more somatic therapies. And then, because I'm not a clinician, I get to name my own names, which is so lekker. We also have what I call the chest-in approach, which is heart-led. Okay, so for us to start looking at holistic care is really, really important, and using at all times the lens of the nervous system. So with that in mind, we're going to move into more of the solution orientation. And so if you think about neurodivergence and the level of struggle and dysregulation that often accompanies it, I think about it often as a stormy sea, right? It feels like that. And do we want to be bailing water out the boat, or do we want to calm the seas? Okay, because the calming the seas is where we get the strategies that have substance and longevity in them. So there's a model called the 5S model, and this is a model for nervous system regulation, and I'm going to take you through it, and I want you to think about your kids now. Think about a situation where they were highly dysregulated. Was it rigidity? Was it chaos? What did it look like? And this is the model that we can operate. So I am so accompanied to 5S that I don't do it by default. I'll literally just run through. I don't even have to name them anymore, but this is the model through which I do life in my own home. This is the model that I teach to families with neurodivergent kids, with kids with mental health in workplaces, and the very first S is to see. Okay, now you're like, obviously I can see the child's melting down. I'm not talking about seeing the meltdown, I'm talking about seeing behind the meltdown. What's going on for that child? What's causing that problem? No child wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm going to have a shit fit, disrespect my mom, get thrown out of class, make sure that I don't do my homework, irritate my friends so I get excluded from the game, and I definitely don't want to try that new veggie tonight. Like, no kid ever is premeditating how they are showing up.
Sure.
Their brains are not designed for it. They are not. And so we need to take away the parenting questions that imply that there was conscious intent. What were you thinking? Why did you hit your sister? No. Okay. First of all, brains are offline. Secondly, they didn't premeditate to do it. So we need to see behind the behavior. We need to understand what their triggers are. Seeing, deeply see. Understand their triggers. See, deeply see their levels of escalation. Learn them, get to know them, and intervene before, while it's still in orange, intervene before it hits to red. And having said that, sometimes kids need to get to red because they need to discharge. So understand that that's also not the end of the world. Okay, we can teach them healthy ways to do that, obviously, but seeing the triggers, seeing the levels of escalation. I've got a nice acronym, HASTY. It's actually on my Instagram page. I've got a few of them. I've got a few Instagram pages and a few acronyms. This particular one is Parenting Complex Kids, and HASTY is on there. And it's, are they hungry? Are they angry? Are they sick? Are they tired? Are they invested in something like a game of Minecraft? Are they excluded? So these are the kinds of questions that you can ask to deeply see what's going on for our children. And when we see and we remind ourselves that there's a whole lot going on behind the behavior, we start focusing on the behavior. And most of our focus on the behavior is, even if we don't intend it, is shameful. Because they haven't intended the behavior, and now we focused on the behavior. And so I think the statistic around negative comments for neurodivergent children by the age of 12 is that they've had 20,000 more negative statements said to them than neurotypical children.
Sure.
So we need to be very, very mindful about how we see and interact with this dysregulated behavior. The second S is to soothe. So this is a toughie, right? Because their dysregulation becomes our dysregulation. Their tough behavior is hard for us to deal with. I know this. Okay, it's brought me to my knees. I understand it. But our level of self-regulation, in order that we can co-regulate, is how we can best soothe them. And I'm going to talk about how we can regulate ourselves next, okay, after we've gone through these 5 S's, because it's super, super important. Remember what I said, our home is the biggest therapeutic environment for our children. So how do we create that container for them where there's loving connection, even in the face of high dysregulation of theirs? First of all, we don't bring our dysregulation into the container. Okay? Soothing is around finding out what their love language is, and finding out, learning, trying to find mechanisms that soothe them. So this is where the body-up approach comes in, because the sensory system is a gateway into the nervous system. So when we soothe using the sensory system, we can access this dysregulated nervous system, which means getting our kids to smell something beautiful. I'm essential oil mad, okay? So there's essential oils all over my house and diffusers all over the house, and you know those beanbag goodies that you put on your shoulders that are hot and they're heavy and might have got oil in them. So what it maybe smell is how you access your child's nervous system. So they might not even know, but you just whip in the lavender or whatever it is into the diffuser in the room that they dysregulated in. Then touch is obviously huge. Fluffy blankets, fluffy slippers, little playthings that they can touch. You get them at the gift shops that are beautiful and soft and silky. Anything that feels beautiful. Be aware of the things on their skin. So I'm not talking, so we want to take away negative elements, but we want to bring in positive elements. I talk to a lot of parents and they go, oh yeah, we used to do this in OT. Why do we stop that? You know, our kids get to 6 or 7 and we're like, okay, thanks to the OT, love you, and off we go. But they're just regulated for the rest of their childhood. So it's those things from OT, bring them in and bring them into us. If I could show you my office, I've got a fluffy mat underneath my desk, I've got a resistance band that I push, I've got a diffuser, I've got the beanbag thing, I've got the soft thing, I've got the putty. It's just love, it's a sensory experience. And so just remember that this is a gateway into our nervous system. So there's the 5 obvious senses, and then there's vestibular and proprioceptive. And I didn't understand when my child was yay high, and he wanted to mow the lawn every day. And I mean every day. Okay? And when I clocked it, that he was looking for this movement, proprioceptive movement. That blade went up, the lawnmower was there, we're like, knock yourself out. Okay, and it was good for him. Proprioceptive, passive proprioceptive is deep touch, weighted blankets, weighted jackets, that beanbag on the shoulders, hugs. That dog that I love so much, I pull onto me as a regulating mechanism who waits on me. Okay. So, and then vestibular is swinging or turning, you know, from side to side. So these are powerful ways that we can soothe. But finding out what our child wants, which is sometimes just to be left alone. Why? They're screaming, leave me alone, get away. That's because they're in overload. They cannot process. Our nervous system is a processing machine. And so we want to reduce the negative inputs through the sensory system, like the friend that's yada yada at them, or the teacher who's been clip-clopping up and down what do you call it, between the desks. My kids have been out of mainstream for so long, I can't even remember. So, you know, and the teacher's voice, and then, so they're seeing and they're hearing and they're doing all these things. It's information in their nervous system. And we want to discharge that and balance it out, like a debit credit system with favorable inputs. So you think you're doing nothing, but when you're giving them a really crunchy lunch that tastes delicious and it smells beautiful and they're sitting on a nice soft blanket while they're having it, they are getting healthy sensory inputs, and it's just in the daily process. No add-on, there's no 1,000 Rand session to go do it, you just build it in at home. It's free and easy and accessible. So that is soothing. Our next S is around safety, and this is really so safety is a perceptive issue. Okay, you might think that the environment's completely safe, but the dentist's so nice, or but we always come to this coffee shop, or but she's your favorite friend, or whatever the case may be. If they perceive that something's not safe, then that is reality. And safety is physical, it's mental, it's emotional. So it's for us to be able to understand, is there a safety issue that's causing the dysregulation? Is that one of it? And how do we restore safety? How do we return it to them and be that container for them? Security is the next S, and this is around attachment, secure attachment. And again, if you don't know about secure attachment, please go and Google it, go research it, it's beautiful. It's the greatest gift that we can give to our children, and it's very hard for us a lot of the time, okay, which is why the next section is going to be important. Attachment is around being consistent, being available, meeting their needs. I use a swimming pool analogy a lot of the time. So we are the edge of the pool, okay? And our kids, when they do life, they're going swimming into the swimming pool. And you know what happens sometimes when you push off against the wall of the pool? You like kick back. Like that's us. We're getting those kicks a lot of the time. They're kicking off against us into the pool, and it hurts. And it's hard. But for us just to remember to be that swimming pool edge, that swimming pool wall, and they're going to go out and they're going to come back and hold on, and they're going to go out and they're going to come back and hold on. And if we can be as available and consistent as a swimming pool wall to our kids, that's a gift to them. And I'm going to just jump in here and say 80-20 rule. Okay, please absolutely give yourself the latitude to screw it up 20% of the time, because you are human. Okay, perfectly imperfect. Please, everything I'm saying, don't think there's absolutely no way. We are all works in process. Grace, forgiveness, understanding, aspire to be some of this. Please, when you mess up, and you will, just own it and move on. Forgive yourself, ask your child to forgive you, learn together, practice humility, be human. Okay, but security is really, really important. And the last S is around support. And this is the last one for a good reason, because when our kids are highly dysregulated, you go, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Be sure they're not going to be able to answer you. Okay. So this is not even a question you might ever ask them. You might be asking yourself, what do they need right now? How can I help them? Okay, but support is what comes in, and support is, maybe it's changing the environment. Maybe it's giving them some control. Maybe it's problem solving with them. Maybe it's problem solving for them. But support is really the final step, because as our kids grow as well, when we're little, right, we're not expecting a lot from them. And they're highly emotional. So we're there to meet all those needs. And then as they grow up, our expectations of them grow, right, because we all sort of default to age-appropriate behaviour, what their peers are doing, or their cousins. And so the expectation rises, and the level of emotional co-regulation or emotional support goes down. And that's a ratio to be very careful of. Okay? And when you're saying to yourself, yeah, or them even, please not them, but if you're saying to yourself, yeah, you know, 10 years old, you should be able to do this, or at 14, you should be able to do that. Please understand that you're not growing a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old, you're growing an adult. Okay, so if they're not doing at 10 what you or your mother-in-law, your neighbor, or whatever thinks they should be doing at 10, that's okay. We're growing them into adulthood. So there's lots of developmental delay here, Let's get those constructs out of our mind and drop the expectations and rather parent the child in front of us. Okay, so emotional support, it drops off, don't let it. They need us in all these areas of 5S for a long time, and that's okay, because the more we do that, the more we invest in them being healthy adults, rather than the less. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the model for us. And everything that I'm going to say to you and share to you here is also stuff that you can share with your kids, okay, and your parenting of them. But this is for us, because if we're not okay, they're not okay. So this investment in us is really, really, really important. While I'm going through this, if you're watching live, if you're watching the recording, if you're here in the room, I want to ask you to please take out your phone or take out the notes and commit, as I'm going through all these 8, to one thing that you're going to bring into your life or take out of your life into action, these 8s. Okay, this is really, really important. Social. So, I don't know about you guys, but we, for 3 or 4 years, we actually just didn't socialize. It was too difficult. Okay, it really was too difficult. Now, my son's been in burnout for a couple of years, and so, again, social's very quiet, but now that I'm a newly recognized, highly sensitive person myself, I'm so happy that we've got a very calm, quiet social life, and when we do interact, it's lovely. So yesterday, for example, I took my son to maths tutor, because he's homeschooled online, and he's got one tutor that he loves, trusts, she's safe, etc., etc. We went to her, and I said, come, let's stop off at our favorite little coffee shop on the way back, because we know the people there. And he and I both had a lovely time. We chatted to the maitre d' and the waitrons, and we saw some friends pop in, and and that was it. We were so happy. We were done. We didn't need to go and have whatever it is for you. I just knew that for him and I yesterday, it would be good to have a little bit of social interaction, because he and I both work behind our computers a lot. Well, he games behind us, to be fair. But we're behind our computers a lot, so I was like, some face-to-face, some human interaction, okay? Whatever it means for you, can you please commit to something social? I was reading the other day about how loneliness is almost as dangerous as smoking on our health. So it's important that we've got something social, that there's some connection time in our lives. Build it in. If you're feeling like you're missing out on it, then go and join a club or a group of some sort in order to get some human interaction. And yeah, okay, so that's enough about that. I don't want to run out of time. The next is about safety, and this is also our journey, right, into, we understand our kids need to feel safe, we need to feel safe as well. And a lot of this experience with neurodivergent kids falls into the unacceptable by a lot of the typical environment. Okay, there's lots of shame. There's lots of misunderstanding, lack of understanding, judgment and criticism. So we all need to go and find a place that's safe. So for some of my clients, their sessions with me are the only safe place in their life, because that's the place where it can all hang out. They can say anything and it's good, it's safe. So if that's all it is, that's fine. But maybe just get bold and go and say to the person who you haven't actually said, this is what we're dealing with at home. This is how hard it is. This is my own mental health struggle. I wake up with anxiety. This is whatever your story is, find a safe place to be able to discharge that, because that's part of our self-care. That's part of us being available for the child who's dysregulated and we're trying to 5S them. Okay. So the next one is around somatics. Again, sensory system. I've already explained what my office looks like, what my home is like. Movement. I'm not even going to say exercise, because you might love exercise, but I hate exercise. Movement is very regulating to the nervous system. Body therapies are very important to the nervous system. If you can't afford or you don't want to go for a massage, then rub your feet before you go to bed every night. Just be aware of the body, bring the body into the therapeutic space somehow, either through the help of a somatic therapist or a body worker or an exercise coach, or you do it for yourself, or you go for a walk, or you do some yoga or some exercise, whatever floats your boat. But be aware of the body and how important it is to our well-being. So surrender, it's a big one. Okay. Yeah, there's another saying that I love, don't argue with reality. Okay. This, for me, surrender in this experience was a street fight. There was nothing gracious about it. It was a street fight. But it is something for us to step into actively. There's gain and loss in every situation in life. I always say this to my kids. There's a cost-benefit analysis with everything. You can go on a lovely holiday overseas to the Mediterranean, but you're going to miss your friend's birthday. Okay, there's cost and benefit to everything. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of cost around this world. And the loss of ideals. I spoke to you about how I was like, sure, so I sorted for the second child and literally taken out at the knees. There's loss of ideals. There's loss of how we thought things were going to be. We were talking about it earlier. So grief is part of this process. Own it. Grieve what's lost in order to be able to accept what is, in order to be able to then embrace it. Because that's the ideal. So my son, for example, drives cars, and he's very good. He drives at a national level and hopefully soon at an international level. There's no ways he would drive as well as he does if his nervous system wasn't sensitive. Okay, because you're talking about hundredths of a second here, difference. So he's got to be so fine-tuned in what the setup is like and where he puts that cart on the road. And that's a nervous system benefit of having a highly sensitive nervous system. Okay, so there is that, but in order to really appreciate and embrace those things, you've got to acknowledge and grieve what's lost. So that is surrender. And again, that's how we look after ourselves. Spirituality, whatever your walk is, whatever your path is, engage. So if you're writing down your little commitments now, which I hope you are, what is it that you can commit to? Is it to re-engage a practice of prayer or a contemplative practice? Is it to go back to church? Is it to tap into a spiritual advisor? If you are a-religious, that's absolutely fine, because the concept of awe and gratitude also do in the nervous system what spirituality does. Okay, awe elevates our nervous system, it regulates us. So go watch the sunset. Stop and look at some beautiful flowers. Find something to be grateful for. But a practice that is within that realm is nervous system regulating, and again, it's how we look after ourselves. Self-talk, sure. We are our own worst enemies until we learn to be our own best friends. Okay. Catch the self-talk, be the observer in your life and watch it, because life is challenging enough without us adding that other cross to our backs. Okay, it's not helpful to us. There's enough real life challenge going on here. So to be able to be mindful of it, and also to remember when we're stuck in loops of negative self-talk, we're actually compromising the full functioning of our brain, because we are not as clear. We're not as available while we're sitting berating ourselves. And when we mess up in our parenting and we step into grace and forgiveness quickly, we switch the inner narrative, we switch that internal dialogue. So again, if we want to be available to our kids, we can't be hating on ourselves. We want to be that edge of the swimming pool to them. We've got to be able to be mindful on and practice our self-talk. Simplicity. Well, a lot of people say, yeah, there's nothing I can simplify. Yes, there is. Okay, yes, there is. And I want you to think of one thing now that you can simplify in your life. So maybe it is turning notifications off on your phone. Is your email beeping on your phone? Is your Instagram beeping on your phone? You know, is even your WhatsApp, God forbid you turn the WhatsApp notifications off, but maybe we can silence them. It's just ideas like this. Maybe there's more online shopping to do rather than actually taking the extra 45 minutes to go to the store. Yes, that people say to me, but I like to touch the fruit before I buy it. Just so do I. But you know what? I also like that 45 minutes to an hour that I don't spend at the grocery store. So we can simplify things. We can meal plan in advance. We can cook double and freeze it. We can simplify our lives. When my kids were at mainstream, I remember the difference it made to wake up 15 minutes earlier, because I was a much nicer person when I wasn't so stressed to get them going. So what is one thing that you can do to simplify your life today, given the complexity that is the reality that you're learning not to argue with? And then sharing. So again, I'm going to challenge you. It's very closely linked to safety. Where can you go and share part of your story? Maybe it's not the neurodivergent story, maybe it's something else that you're holding on to, but it's a weight. Where else can you share a story in a safe place that's going to unburden you today, or very soon, that you've been holding on to? Because, again, I'm going to go back to that shame dies in safe places. Identify the safe place, share your story, because that is how we lighten our load so that we can be available to be the container, to offer that therapeutic environment at home that our child most needs to regulate their nervous system so that they can be flexible, adaptable, coherent, energized, stable. So in serving us, we serve them. In serving us, we serve ourselves. So for a lot of my clients as well that really battle with self-care because it feels self-indulgent, etc., etc., I'm like, okay, don't do it for you, do it for them. I mean, please do it for you, but do it for them if it helps motivate you. Like this is in service of my child.
Yeah.
Okay, so step out and engage in it as committed as you are to driving them to their OT or speech therapy appointment. That's how committed you are to this, because that's how we get to be available to them. And also, while we're looking after ourselves, the child or the person in the home with the greatest need is the person that gets the most attention.
Yeah.
And so we need to look at the whole, look at the system. We are part of the system. Okay, so this giving consideration to ourselves is part of that. Looking at the whole family unit and identifying the needs and what can be done is really important. So when we look at the parts and the whole, that's when we are more holistic in our approaches. So this is about understanding we are multidimensional beings, body, mind, heart, and spirit, which means we need a multidimensional approach. And so looking at this in terms of the body and what we put into it, including the nutrition, the hydration, the exercise, the movement, the heart in terms of the connection and the sense of belonging, the mind in terms of all of those top-down therapies, the spirit in terms of religion, in terms of awe, in terms of gratitude, that is our holistic strategy. And that's what is going to make the biggest impact to yourself and to your children in your homes. Thank you.
Wow, that was absolutely amazing. I tell you what, like as I was sitting here and I was thinking of this button pushing this morning, I then went into, oh my word, I could have dealt with this thing so much better. And then I was like, I could have done this, and I actually thought of me and my needs this morning, and I don't care about your needs. And then you come and you're like, forgive yourself. It's okay, the 2080 rule, and I'm like, I'm forgiven, I'm okay. You really touched on absolutely everything this morning. Again, touched on it, because I think each one of those, you can delve into them so deeply, and there's just such amazing truths that lies within what you've shared today. And I cannot but thank you. If nobody else said to thank you today, I will. Because you've made a difference in my life, and I can hear from the crowd's response that you have touched lives today. So thank you so much for that. That was absolutely amazing. And I don't even want to continue speaking about it, because I feel I'll even take away from it. That's how amazing it was. So, but Colleen, thank you for taking the time to fly out here and to be with us, and who knows what the future holds, and when we bring you up again, or maybe we'll all come down to you again, you know. So, but Colleen has been so kind, and she's actually brought a little gift for one of you, and I don't know if Tanya, you've got the little lucky draw. So we are going to be giving some gifts away today. But before we do that, I know that sometimes when we sit in a place like this and we listen and we're so involved and we give ourselves, after we sit for so long, we need to just move a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to just, before we do this lucky draw, to stand up, greet somebody behind you, next to you, and just say hello. Just stretch your legs. Alright, I know that most of us are ladies in this house.
They look like they're coming down that
Excuse me, everybody. I know that there's a lot of ladies in this house, and if I left you, we'll be talking for long now, because we have lots to say, and I think we've related so much. So I just wanted a quick stretch and just a breather for 2 seconds. Colleen, I'm actually going to ask you to come and help me give this away, and you can explain what it is, etc. And we've got a little lucky draw here, so I'll draw a name for us. Let's hope. Do you feel lucky? All right, Shireen Lurie. There we go, Shireen. You can come up and collect your prize. Like never before? I've never won anything. Never won anything before. That's brilliant.
These are grief, loss, and heartache cards that I created because for a particular period last year, there was so much loss around me. And I'm not just talking about the death of somebody, because of course that's massive loss, but loss of identity, loss of job, loss of the ideal, broken up relationships. And so I was called to make what I did. I was inspired to make these grief, loss, and heartache cards to journey with people in a lost journey, and we know all about that in this journey. And then it's just a journal as well, to be able to journal the cards as you go through them.
Thank you. And now that it's the first time you've won something, it will happen more and more. I'm telling you, that's how it always works. You just need to win something once and then it's coming, so get ready. So just quickly going to sort out the screen here. Perfect. So with no further ado, I'm going to do an introduction to our next speaker. And Colleen, she's not just the speaker for today, she's also a personal friend and a mentor for a lot of us in this room. And Colleen Smallberger, she's actually the founder and owner of Aspire, that you can see in the front here, and that is who we are doing this event with. And so Colleen herself is actually a qualified, Colleen herself is actually a qualified CA who did her articles with BWC and has worked for multiple blue chip companies in the past as well, coming from that very corporate career. But during this time when she was working in this corporate career, she's always had this dream and this passion to really change lives and have a heart for the health industry specifically and the wellness of people and wanting to change and help changing and shaping lives. And through this time period, while she was actually working for one of these blue chip companies, she actually was introduced to Zinzino, of which she will tell you a little bit more about today. And she decided that her heart is really pushed towards this so much that she wants to delve into it onto a full-time basis. So this happened over a time period within her life. In 2019, Zinzino was actually launched in South Africa, came into South Africa. But she decided in 2023 that she's going to step out of this corporate world and step into her passion and her purpose, and really stepping out and helping and changing lives. So Colleen, if I say that again, excuse me, it's not so typical. Colleen, yeah, with her unlocking passion within people and really purpose within people as well, finding this product and seeing the truths that lies within it and being able to make a difference in other people's lives became the thing that really started driving her in what she's doing. So I want you to help me to just welcome her to the stage this morning. My friend, my leader, thank you so much for being here, and maybe all give her a round of applause.
Very sweet introduction, I appreciate it. And to each and every person here in the room with us today and everyone online, this is really what fuels me, and to know that you're getting educated and empowered and you're being given solutions to really have a better quality life in every way. Colleen, wow, you over-delivered. Really, I commend you for your knowledge, how you share it. Thank you so much for the incredible nuggets that you've left us with today, and we would definitely love to have you back, and really such a privilege to have you with us. So thank you for flying all the way from Durbs to come spend some time with us here today. So as Renata said, my passion, this that I'm doing now, is really what feels I get purpose. And so Colleen and Charlene also really just set the scene as to the seriousness of what we're facing in terms of neurodiversity, neurodivergence, and the challenges around that. So what I'm going to be touching on today is like, how do we address the physical aspect of it? Because it's multifaceted. There's many components, it's holistic. However, if you're not physically enabling the body to be healthy, then you are at such a disadvantage, and now you're still trying to deal with the emotional, psychological, and all those kind of things. So this is where Zinzino truly is a profound company, and to give you a little bit of context as to who they are and what they're about, they have been around for 20 years already. They are not a startup by any means. Scandinavian company, and they have a global footprint. So they basically ship and are in over 100 markets worldwide. It's like an e-commerce platform. And they specialize in preventative healthcare and test-based or evidence-based nutrition. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I think a lot of people are disillusioned because firstly, how do you know it's working? How do you know it's being absorbed? You're spending money on this, but is it actually just going down the drain? Zinzino is listed on the North European NASDAQ stock exchange. So there's complete transparency as to their results, what they were about. You'll see they've got a very strong financial position, strong balance sheet, completely debt-free. And they are the direct sales model, or the direct-to-consumer model. That is the model that they've gone and chosen. And this is why I'm so grateful for this company, because it empowers people like you and I to really make a difference in the lives of others. And at the end of the day, that is what it's about, is being a contributor to society. And so that's what we're doing through this company. Just want to show you, for interest's sake, many companies are on downward trends. They are struggling. If you look in COVID 2020, many companies closed their doors, but Zinzino shot the lights out. They grew 48% in 2020, and the trend is continuing. So that also is a clue that what they're doing is working, and that there's a demand for what they offer. And so I want to give you comfort around that they are a solid company and they're making serious waves in the market. And I'm very, very excited that they also are available in South Africa. The great thing is, if you're online, wherever you are at, chances are we do deliver in the market. And so really it is about the people's lives that we impact. It's about the stories that emerge from what are our products doing. And so I want to take you through a bit of a testimonial. I interviewed the father of this child. They are Czechoslovakian. Vitek, at the age of 5 years old, there was a huge disparity in gap between his mental age and his physical age. And so he had mild retardation, mild cerebral palsy, ADHD. It was not a good place for him at all. And so his father knew that obviously nutrition, and that is a certain aspect of it, and was something they needed to address. But for example, he couldn't speak a full sentence. He was very irritable, anxious, couldn't sleep through, he was bedwetting, he couldn't play with children, he just couldn't focus and concentrate. So again, not a great place for this young man. When they did his first test, and so this is all going to make sense as we go into it, but when they did his first test, his ratio was 39.2. That should be 3 or less. Now that is showing the state of chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation, the root cause of most degenerative diseases. They wanted to know where he is at because now they can measure the journey and they can manage it. Chronically inflamed, but when they did his second test, so then what they did was they got him on 2 of the products. They put him on an omega-3, and they also put him on the behaviour, which I'm going to go into shortly, but that manages anxiety, stress, and better sleep quality as well. And so they did do other therapies. So this is what I'm saying, that there isn't one silver bullet. And so as Colleen was touching on it as well, there's various aspects that need to be addressed. But like I say, if you are not addressing the physical aspect in terms of supplementation, because our food industry has degenerated significantly. Over the decades, that is why our foods are not giving us what we need from nutrition, minerals, the essential fats. And that's why society is in such a bad place from a wellness perspective. So we need to be supplementing, but again, it's about the quality that you supplement with. So in Vitek's case, they were doing swimming, ergotherapy, physiotherapy, speech therapists. So there were other therapies that they were incorporating as well. When they did his second test, just on 5 months later, the inflammation came all the way down to 4.9. This is what the markers started looking at. Now, I hope what you're seeing here is that it wasn't long in the bigger scheme of things. And that is what's so profound here, is that you introduce premium quality supplementation that actually works, and you can start to get major shifts in wellness. So he was now able to start speaking short sentences. He could run without falling. He could focus a little bit more. He could play. He wasn't irritable, anxious. He was sleeping through, wasn't bedwetting anymore. I mean, can you imagine in that household, just the environment, I mean, as a parent, what they must have been experiencing. Then they realized the importance of gut health. And gut health is vital, even from a cognitive perspective. And they introduced a prebiotic, the xenobiotic, which I'll touch on a little bit later. And so then when they did his third test, so that was after 13 months of being on this protocol, came down to 3.5. The assessments that the psychologists did, the gap between his psychological and biological age was closing beautifully. He was now going to be introduced to a normal school with assistance. That's a huge step in the right direction. And so he was communicating beautifully, and even the pronunciation of his words in the sentences. And so when they did the fourth test after 19 months, 2.3, and look how nicely the markers are starting to come into balance. The beauty about the test is now there's no guessing as to what is happening on a cellular level. They are seeing the evidence as it's a little dry blood spot test. And so this is Vitek, just under 2 years after being on that whole protocol. He's in a normal school with assistance. His learning is a little bit slower than his peers, but his ability to learn is good for where he is at. He is enjoying maths. He does his homework. He can now do activities like swimming, riding his bike, and those kind of things. And that really is what it's about. It's restoring quality of life. And so that's why I say, you know, the topic that we're addressing today is neurodivergence. It's children's health. And that is why our children, if we can just give them the right protocol so that in school they are focusing, they are concentrating. It's not these highs and lows, mood swings, not understanding why they can't concentrate or they're not feeling great. Now we at least equip them with the nutrition and the good omegas that they need to be able to function effectively. And so this is here's the Czechoslovakian, so I literally took this from their testimonial. But this is where you can start to compare. And this is what's so powerful about what we're doing in Zinzino. We are taking the guesswork out of it. So we're taking the guesswork out of it, we are validating independently how it works, and we're giving a solution in terms of the supplementation. So this is really a beautiful, heartwarming story. Now, in terms of what makes it so different, and I just need to activate the video from this side, I want you to watch the short video because I thought this will give a great explanation. To our online viewers, we will share the links as well with you and to everyone in the room. But this really sums up what makes Zinzino so unique from the Omega perspective.
Your kid's health is personal, not a guessing game. Children's omega-3 needs are different than adults. Not all bodies are created equal, so why should we all take the same supplements? Ours were made for your whole family. Find out everyone's individual omega-3 needs with our at-home balance test. Our brand new Balance Oil Tutti Frutti has a fresh flavor of raspberry, mint, lemon, pear, and lavender. Tailored for both grown-ups and kids, with no fishy taste. Backed by science, approved by kids. From the pioneers of test-based, personalized nutrition. Zinzino, inspire change in life.
I think when people mention omegas, the first thing that comes to mind is it smells and tastes fishy. Yes. And that is one of the profound things of Zinzino's formulation, is that it's not a pure omega-3, it's a blend. And they've incorporated polyphenols from olive oil that basically protects the omega-3 from going off or going rancid, and it shuttles the omega-3 into the cell. And so they've really hit the sweet spot in terms of their formulation, but they're saying don't take our word for it, test. And so we basically have Beta's Analytical Services, which is a completely independent lab that analyzes all the dry blood spots. And they have the largest lipid testing database in the world, and so essentially the numbers don't lie. And that is where we have seen within a period of 4 months, we are able to bring just over around 98% of people back into balance or near balance, no matter how chronically inflamed they've been. Now that is significant. And so that is why I'm so excited about this, because you do not need to wait long to get into balance and start enjoying the optimal health from a physical perspective, because the omegas is also going to help with the neurodevelopment, the connections in the brain, the nervous system. It's resetting the body on a cellular level, and that is what's so powerful. So this, for example, as adults, you get a 21-page report, very detailed, great for you to know. The children also get a great little report. So this is why we say, take the guesswork out of it. And here you can start to manage the journey and measure the journey, because you are actually taking steps with the test. To give you insight into what happens when we do the second test, we do it after 4 months, because it takes about 4 months for your red blood cells to regenerate. You can then compare side by side how the inflammation is coming down. Protection value and mental strength is looking at cognitive function and brain health. So in this case, and you'll see the tests are anonymous, every test has a unique code. So that's why it's like a double-blind test. When a customer sends in a test to be analyzed, Zinzino doesn't know when they send it in, or which test it is, which number test, and the lab doesn't know whose it is. So it's completely independent. But here, for example, this is the state of chronic inflammation. Look how beautifully it came down in that short period of time. Protection value, that is basically saying, is your brain and your body getting the essential fats it needs to prevent things like anxiety, depression, brain fog, headaches or migraines, bad sleep quality, or the risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's as you age. So that's why you want to intervene, and it's about preventative healthcare. So here, to 100% efficiency within a few short months. And again, this is why Zinzino is disrupting the supplement and the omega market, because this woman was on an omega for 20 years already. For 20 years, she'd been spending money on an omega every month, and that was the first results. So this is why I'm saying it is something very disruptive and revolutionary. They've tried and tested, they've proven, and they've really hit the sweet spot in the formulation. I want to touch on this one here quickly. Cell membrane fluidity is very important. Your cells are your basic building block. So when you've got inflammation in the body, your cell membrane becomes a little bit rigid or hardened. So your cell's ability to absorb nutrition effectively and excrete toxins is not happening like it should. So your basic building block is not functioning like a well-oiled machine. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to eat healthy, you're taking supplementation or even medication, it's not absorbing like it should. And what happens is we consist of around 37 trillion cells. Your cells are replicating daily. So if they're not healthy, all they keep doing is replicating unhealthy cells. So when we introduce the balance oil, the good essential fats, we start restoring the permeability of the cell membrane. We start resetting the body on a cellular level because your cells start creating healthier cells, start absorbing more effectively. We'll answer questions at the end. And start absorbing more effectively. And this is why it's not an overnight thing. And the natural journey is not like a pharmaceutical, popping a pill and just masking something. You're getting to the root, you're getting to the inflammation, you are restoring health on a cellular level. And this is what's so powerful. So the longer you're on it, the better it gets. Also, just to go back here quickly, even here, the omega-3s, EPA, DHA, and DPA, her deviation was 90%. In other words, she was so deficient, 90% deviation, now 0 deviation. So this is going into a bit more detail. Here she was 46% deficient in DPA, more than enough. DHA 54% deficient, now no deficiency. So again, it takes the guesswork out of it. And this is the beauty of the journey with this. Now, I wanted one of the doctors to give you a bit of an explanation as to why it's different from their perspective as well. It's a Scandinavian company, Norwegian. So she speaks English a lot better than I do Norwegian. So please bear in mind, she's an incredible doctor. We've met her already when we've been to Oslo. But I think for you to just understand, and it's less than 6 minutes, this video, but I think it'll be good for you to understand the technology and what it is that we are doing in this space.
Hello, I'm Dr. Emily Gisvik, and I specialize in the research and development of omega-3 supplements at Zinzino. My expertise lies in polyphenolic fish oil and algae oil supplements and fatty acid profiling. I have a PhD in food and nutrition science with a special interest in essential fatty acids, and a deep insight from a fatty acid blood sample helped me and my team to create new ways to support overall lasting health in both adults and children. You probably know that omega-3 is an essential nutrient that we mainly get from fish. I'm also guessing that fish might not be your kid's #1 choice at the dinner table. Most children don't like the taste or smell of fish, but still, fish is a natural source of the fatty acid they need for their cognitive development, for the brain, vision, and normal immune function. Research shows that as many as 95% of children today aren't getting the right recommended daily dose of omega-3. And did you know that most supplements that are supposed to bridge the gap have not been formulated to stay stable in the human body? When the omega-3 fatty acids are inside the fish, they remain stable and active. But as soon as the oil is extracted from the fish, the omega-3s start to oxidize. For our bodies to safely absorb the nutrients in the fish oil, the supplement needs to be specially formulated with the right antioxidant. It also needs to be tailored to individual needs. because there are major differences when it comes to how we accumulate omega-3s in the body. And that is specifically significant when we're growing. So first of all, when you decide to supplement with omega-3 to fill your kids' needs of these essential nutrients, you need to make sure they're getting the right dose. Today's guidelines for healthy omega-3 targets and consequently the dosage instructions are primarily based on how adults' bodies are set up, even though the fatty acid levels in children are very different. A simple blood test to reveal your child's current status is your best guide here. And secondly, you need to choose an omega-3 supplement that is rich in EPA and DHA in its natural triglyceride form. This is the most important form of omega-3 because it's easily absorbed in the body. But it needs to be fresh and potent in order to make it into the cells. That is why you must check if the fish oil has the right antioxidant that will keep the omega-3s from going rancid. Sensino has found a unique method to stabilize the fatty acids in fish oil in the same natural way as inside the fish. This has put our range of balanced oils in a league of its own. Not only does balanced oil tutti frutti have a kid-friendly flavor, specific dosage instructions for children, and a fish oil rich in EPA and DHA and vitamin D. Above all, the blend is mixed with cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, packed with naturally powerful antioxidants that keep the fatty acids fresh in the same kind of way as in fish. The result is a pure, resistant fish oil with no fishy taste and omega-3 nutrients that are easily and safely absorbed in your child's body. We have to this day collected data from 13,000 children, and they reveal that kids who use balanced oil have significantly higher omega-3 levels compared to non-users, and their EPA and DHA levels were increased by 74%. So, in conclusion, we all have picky eaters at the table. It will help. Until then, make sure to monitor your kids' omega-3 level. And if you decide to supplement, pick one with proven and functional benefits. A blood spot test will give it to you in writing. Sensino has performed over 1 million fatty acid tests today, and we are putting all those insights into use in our daily work to give children a fun and functional alternative to fish, and parents the peace of mind that they deserve. Together, we can provide our children with the very best nutritional foundation that they need to grow into happy, healthy human beings. Thank you for listening.
So I think it's good to hear and understand why it's different, because there's many omega products on the market, but you want something that works and that's validated. Now, gut health is vital for this journey. That whole gut-brain connection in the gut is where a lot of hormone activity takes place as well, the development of serotonin, a happy hormone. Also in terms of, just the communication of the gut-brain. And a lot of disease stems from guts that are inflamed or imbalanced. So even anxiety, depression, an indication that oftentimes the gut also needs to be healed. And this here is a prebiotic, the xenobiotic. It's not a probiotic. A probiotic puts some good strands in the gut, but a prebiotic is essentially the necessary fibers to feed the little microbiome. So that whole army, so that they can grow and overwhelm the bad bacteria. So it essentially reduces inflammation in the gut, helps you to be regular, and it also helps build up a resistance against food intolerances and allergies. But that is why for children to have healthy guts is vital, because processed foods, ultra-processed foods, stimulate the growth of the bad bacteria, whereas you need the prebiotic to counter that and then promote the growth of the good bacteria. So that is why with this, it's a powder, you can literally mix it in anything. It's a great way to get that fiber in. And so really this product is getting great results here. Then in terms of vitamins and minerals, again, our foods aren't giving us what we need, so we need to be filling in the blanks. And so the vitamins and minerals are essentially the alphabet so that your cells can communicate effectively, so that you've got healthy energy levels during the day, so that you're not getting those dips. But what's great about the Extend and the formulation here is that it's a 2-in-1 supplement, that it also has beta-glucans, which are immune boosters. So it's building up that innate immune system. Because a lot of the foods that we used to eat decades ago that would build up the innate immune system is no longer prevalent in our foods now. And so that's why people's susceptibility to get sick quickly or to struggle to get better is because their innate immune system either doesn't exist or is very weak. And so that's why this is such a great supplement here. Now, with children, it is a tablet, so children don't necessarily always want to drink this. In South Africa, we've got the Extend. Now, overseas, we've got a new multivitamin, which is specially for children, that was launched. Now, in a South African context, if you have connections overseas, we can deliver it to that connection there, and we can find ways to bring it in here. So all I'm saying is there is ways and means to get the supplement, but I wanted to give you some insight as to what makes that supplement a little bit different. And so this short video here will give you insight to that.
Busy bee parent with a picky eater? Up to 50% of the food we eat today is ultra-processed with typically poor nutrient quality. Say hi to Multiply. Here's some peace of mind to bridge the nutritional gap. A chewable kids multi-immune supplement with 16 carefully selected nutrients, including vitamins and minerals, beta-glucans, and choline, in a kid-friendly tutti fruity flavor. Building the next generation of superheroes. A unique proprietary blend, specially developed for growing humans. Supporting a normal immune system, as well as growth and bone development. The fun and functional way to safeguard your kids' nutritional needs and create healthy habits that last a lifetime. Discover Multified Chewables, 16 essential nutrients with a kid-friendly tutti fruity flavor. Created by parents, backed by science, approved by kids. From the pioneers of test-based personalized nutrition.
So that's a great multivitamin to fill in the blanks, because I know oftentimes the children just don't want to eat, and so they're not getting what they need. So at least you know they're at least getting some good vitamins and minerals and nutrients. Now the Viva is an excellent supplement. And Colleen, you mentioned, highest ranked in the neurodivergence world is anxiety. And so many people struggling with anxiety, but might not necessarily want to be on an antidepressant or a pharmaceutical. And so this is where the Viva is such a great natural supplement to basically take the edge off. It lifts the mood, it helps with focus and concentration. And the main ingredient here is Afron from saffron. Saffron is known as the sunshine spice, or sometimes referred to as nature's antidepressant. And that is the key ingredient in this formulation. What it also does is it resets naturally your circadian rhythms. Because if you're not sleeping properly, your metabolic functions aren't happening as it should, and also will affect mood. And so, children sometimes are just impossible because they're just not sleeping well. And so by incorporating the balance oil, of which one of the clinical benefits is better sleep quality. There are 17 health benefits of an omega, which I didn't have time to share today, but we can definitely share more of that. But that is where not all omegas are created equal. But the Viva is great because it's 100% natural, there's no side effects, and it's non-addictive, which is great. It has got a little bit of iodine in, so I always just check with regards to that. But if you're not allergic to iodine, children are allergic to iodine, then it is safe. And so it's very fast acting, but very gentle in its approach. So you don't feel spaced out, you don't feel on a buzz, you just realize within an hour you're in a better space, and it just calms down. And so this is why I'm saying this is such a great supplement as an add-on there. In the South African context, SAPRA, which is the South African Medical Control Council, has reviewed our supplements. The actual approval process is still ongoing. However, in our brochures, they have given us health claims that we are allowed to put there, and our labeling is all aligned with SAPRA regulation. So Zinzino is a natural food supplement, but considered as a complementary medicine. So again, it attests to the caliber and the quality of this supplementation. And that is why we have a lot of health professionals, doctors, practitioners, who are now opting to offer this through their practices because we've got the independent test and the quality and caliber of the supplementation. Overseas, we've got the European Food and Safety Authority, a whole host of health claims there. So whichever market you are in and wherever you are in the world, you can be assured that Zinzino, in terms of quality and in terms of regulation, really makes sure that they jump through the hoops needed. Now, in terms of Aspire and how does this all fit in? And so, as I said, this is the direct sales model, and so we are independent partners of Zinzino. And so this is really where I love the model, because we don't only get to empower people from a wellness perspective and to take their health back and to be drivers and pioneers in preventative test-based nutrition, but we also get to make an impact in people's lives from a financial perspective and to help people build up a financial legacy. But essentially, we have an incredible community that has birthed here, and I work with the most amazing partners all over the world. And so it's people who are visionaries in the wellness space, people who want to make a difference, make an impact in people's lives, but with something this revolutionary. And so with the Aspire community, that is where we have a culture. We enjoy what we do. We work together. It's professional. That's why you dealing with any one of our Aspire and Independence and Zinzino partners, you're assured of a very professional and enjoyable journey with this. So in essence, with Zinzino and through our Aspire community, you can either become a customer, or if you would like to become a partner, there's that option. From a customer perspective, if you would like to try the supplementation, get your test done, get your children on supplementation, then we would love to help you with that journey. And so there, someone invited you to come and watch this event, join online or in person. Please get back to the person who invited you. It's one of our Aspire members. If you're not sure who did, you are welcome to contact me directly. But we can assist you then. And the great thing is the supplements are delivered directly to your doorstep. And so we have a great subscription model, which is the cheapest way to get the supplementation, and we have incredible incentives for our customers, because it's all about delivering as much value to our customers and to really empower you to want to also make this a lifestyle. And then we have the partnership option. So this is where, if you've been sitting here and you've been thinking, I would love to be a part of this movement, because many of you might not have heard of Zinzino as yet, but they won't remain the best kept secret for long, because they are most certainly making waves in the preventative healthcare space. And so if you are a practitioner, or you're in the health space, or you're an entrepreneur, visionary, we would love you to lock arms with us. And so please do connect with us. Reach out to the person who invited you, or connect with me, and we would love to show you how you can partner with us in terms of making that impact globally through a global e-commerce model. The great thing for us South Africans is we're not only confined to the borders of South Africa. This is a dropshipping e-commerce model, which is great. So it's global. And so this is really giving people the freedom and flexibility to work from anywhere and basically dictate their time and their day. So really, I think that just sums up in terms of Aspire stands for making the impact. And this is where I'm very excited about the strategies, the initiatives we're doing. You definitely, as we say, every month we're going to be doing a talk addressing a topic. And it's all about education, empowering people, and showing there is a solution. From a physical perspective, you can fill in the blanks to be able to enjoy optimal health, but it's no longer a guessing game. And so that is where we are really excited about the work that we are doing in this area. So now that you have an understanding of the products, we'd like to give away some of them, because it's always nice to give away these products after you understand the power of them. So, firstly, we're going to be giving away one of our balance oils, the Tutti Frutti one. The formulations are the same. So our balance oils come, the formulation's the same. There's 2 citrus flavors in South Africa and then a Tutti Frutti flavor. Overseas, we've also got vegan oils, we've got water-soluble, various varieties, but again, all of them validated by the test. So if Renata can pull a name.
Okay, it is Wendy Wallace.
And sorry to our online audience, if you're not in the room today, then unfortunately you won't be getting the prize, but congratulations, enjoy it. Then we also have one of the supplements that's not available in South Africa, but vitamin D is vital. Now the balance oil does have vitamin D3 in, which is great. So again, it's a blend, and that's why it's really just such a great combination, because it's not just the omega-3 but also the vitamin D3. So this here is a vitamin D and magnesium supplement. But again, the quality of where you're sourcing it from matters. And that's where Zinzino has really, they do not skimp on the quality of the formulations, you'll see. So this supplement here, if you want to draw as to who will get that.
3 came along.
Okay, and we have Shalindra Senez. Yes, there we go.
Congratulations,
First time as well learning today. That's the beginning. Congratulations.
Enjoy your supplements. Who liked the beaver supplement that we spoke about? That is really a phenomenal supplement. And you know, all of us at some point, even if you don't struggle with anxiety or depression, go through bouts when you just are a bit overwhelmed. And so that's why this is just such a great supplement. Or if you haven't been getting the 7 or 8 hours a night, if that's what you sleep, this helps regulate that again. So this is the beaver supplement, and it basically is going to go to
Christelle Lowe.
Krista. Congratulations. Enjoy your supplements. Then we have another smaller balance oil. So we do get a little 100 ml. This is great when if you travel, for example, and you don't want to be taking a 300 ml. It only comes in orange lemon mint, but it just has a bit of a citrus note, a citrus flavor, so it's not overpowering in any way. So that goes to...
Do I have one here? Yes, I do have one. To Trudy de Toy.
Then the last prize, also not available in South Africa, but I am cognizant we've got a global audience today. And so we have a shake, and I must admit I've never been a shake fan. For me, you need to eat food. But what happens is sometimes lifestyle, and also if you have, for example, picky eaters and the children aren't eating, or just something on the go to fill in the blanks. Zinzino's formulation of shake is something I've never seen before. They're very high in fiber. They've got the prebiotics that I spoke about, they've got in their formulation. Very high in protein, and also they have 25 vitamins and minerals. So essentially the extent that you saw there, so all of that is in here. So it's not a protein shake, it is a nutritional shake with prebiotics in. So really an incredible formulation. So one lucky winner is going to be getting 2 sachets. We've got a chocolate flavor and a vanilla flavor. You're going to be getting that together with a Zinzino shake. So who would like that?
Who would like it? Who would like it? You, guess what? Your mommy just won. Lucky fingers.
That was awesome. Well done. Congratulations. Awesome. So enjoy the supplements. So really, as we bring this to a close, our next event, next month, we're going to be focusing on everything around pregnancy. So fertility, so when you're wanting to fall pregnant, then when you are pregnant, and then also post-pregnancy. And so nutrition is a vital, vital cog in the wheel with all of this. And so that is why a study was done in the Netherlands that women who were in balance before, during, and after pregnancy, 100% of them did not have postnatal depression. And it's almost like it's become the norm, or it's normal, for you to have baby brain or brain fog, or to have postnatal depression, but it's not the case. And so that is why we're going to have great speakers, and we're going to have another education session where we can show you how you are able to set yourself up and your baby for a stronger start. Because it's clinically proven with omega-3 that a mother who's been taking omega-3 and is in balance during the pregnancy is also setting her fetus up, the child, for a better start. Less developmental delays, less risk of cerebral palsy, ADHD, etc. So it is vital considering what we are facing from a neurodivergence perspective as well. So really, this brings us to the end of our session. I want to thank our global community for dialing in. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all with us. Trust you've enjoyed it. And to each and every one of you in the room. Like, honestly, this makes my heart happy to see you. Please ask the questions, meet with Colleen afterwards, come chat to us. If you're interested in the supplementation, or even if you want to chat to Cole about what she's doing, please come and chat to us. We would love to answer your questions. Thank you so much, and I'm going to hand to Ren just to wrap up the day. But God bless and have a great week further.
Okay, so I know that Colleen, well, firstly, thank you, Colleen. I think this was great. This was really fantastic information. And what we wanted to do very quickly, I know that you mentioned that you can come and speak to each person that invited you, but we do want to open the floor up just for a quick couple of questions. I know there was a question somewhere on this side throughout Colleen's conversation as well, but maybe is there anybody here that would like to ask any questions or any specific questions that you would like to ask right now, to any of the speakers actually? Anybody? Yes. Can I give you the mic just so that we can have it?
It's only a quick question.
It's okay.
Will there be a recording? Or
There is a recording. There is a recording. So if you've been here, definitely we can arrange that.
Yes, I'm just interested to know.
Sorry, maybe Colleen, yes, both of you.
Your presentation was based on children, actually, on these supplements and so forth. I just want to know if they start on that, at what age? I mean, it looks like it's very young, so maybe 5, 3, or whatever. Is this a lifetime thing that they have to stay on?
I don't know if our online audience is still there, so I just want everyone to hear. So the question was, today it's geared at children, and so the question was, at what age do you start and up until what age should you take? The whole concept of Zinzino is we are giving what is essential for the body. You would never dream of driving your car without oil in the engine. But many of us are trying to function without our oil in our engine, and that's the omega-3. So it's essential, and so it's something you want to make a part of your daily routine. All of us have got microbiome. They need to be fed daily. So that's why you need the prebiotic to keep them healthy and happy. And then our foods aren't giving us the vitamins, minerals, immune boosters that we need, so we need to be filling in the blanks. So from a how old perspective, well, from the fertility stage, the mom is already preparing her body. And because the oil is based on age and body weight, the great thing is it's not a one-size-fits-all. So that is where, based on the child's age and body weight, children up to 12 years of age take 0.2 mol for every kilogram of body weight. Adults take 0.15 mol for every kilogram. So that is where it becomes unique. But the great thing is with the test, now you can gauge and see how the body's coming back in balance. But in essence, you want to make it a lifestyle. You want to be on this for life because it's part of your healthy regime. But that is also where Zinzino has the customer incentive program where you can actually get your supplements for free for life. So that's what's great, is that we also just add a lot of value there. But in essence, yes, you want to make it part of your lifestyle.
How old do you start kids on it?
So our labeling has various guidelines, but we have pediatricians that offer it from different ages. We've got some people who give it to their newborn baby, but in terms of the dosage, from that perspective, I mean, the gut health, for example, is minute portions.
Yeah.
It's really minute. But the balance oil is vital for that cellular health thing. But in terms of different markets have different guidelines, and so I also just say that, you know, the parent at the end of the day needs to make a decision, but it is natural food. It is olives, it is omega-3s from fish oil, the vegan is from algae or seaweed, so it's natural ingredients. It's really just good food in the body.
I also think it's got to do also with some of the supplements, like we've mentioned in South Africa, or pills that you would need to swallow. So sometimes also when it comes to that, unless you have the supplementation like the kids that can eat it, the chewables that we saw here today, you can do that as well. So that also helps. So my little one has got no trouble in swallowing tablets, so she takes the Extend as well as the Viva, and it's very easy for her to take in. So it really also, we know with our children, sometimes they can and they can't. So thank goodness it's not these big omega bullets that everybody struggles. So this is nice, you've seen the oils. So anybody else has a question? Yes?
And firstly, thank you to all the speakers. You were all brilliant. Very, very interesting morning. My question is in terms of the actual test. How often, if you're on the supplementation, do you need to retest? Do you have to? Is it compulsory as part of the program, or can you just do it once or twice, see the difference, and continue on the supplements? And I guess into that question, do you have to do the blood test at all to start using the product? Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley. So I'm going to answer your second question first. Do you have to take the test? No, it's not obligatory for you to do the test to then get onto the supplementation. However, I've seen time and time again the power of my own customers when they see their test results, because you cannot look at someone and know what's going on a cellular level. Sometimes people look the picture of health and then they're not. They're chronically inflamed. So the test from a belief and a validation perspective, I find, and it makes you realize the impact that the supplements are making. But if people don't want to do the test, they can definitely still get the supplementation. So that's not a problem. In terms of the balance test, now we've got 3 tests. 2 of them available in South Africa. It's the balance test, which measures inflammation. So that's the one I showed you there, the cell health, etc. So basically, you do your first test, and 4 months later, you do your second test, because it takes approximately 4 months for your red blood cells to regenerate. Thereafter, you can decide. So my husband and I, personally, we test once a year, because I just want to see how am I tracking with that. We have an HbA1c test, because insulin resistance, diabetes is quite an issue. Again, it's about knowing where you're at, and again, you can then measure. There's no prescriptive with regards to that one, for example. So you, as the person, can then decide how often you want to test after that. We're going to wrap it up because our guest speaker also needs to catch a flight. But please, thank you again to our global community. Please reach out to the person who invited you. I'm sure you've got questions, and we would love to connect with you afterwards. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.